Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. We're reading Basics of Buddhism by Pat Allwright, and today's chapter is called Cause and Effect. It says Renge, the lotus flower, symbolizes wonder of this law. Once you realize that your own life is the mystic law, you will realize that so are the lives of all others. So, the future is unknown. What is our destiny and what causes it? Some people believe that it is influenced by the stars, some that it is a matter of choice. Others think that fate is not ours to question. Whatever we choose to believe, anxiety is caused by uncertainty about the future. Everyone wants to live a long, healthy, and fulfilled life. It is very difficult to do this if we do not have an understanding of how destiny is created. Much as we may try to improve our circumstances, an unexpected misfortune can throw us off course. This makes us feel as if we are being carried along by our changing destiny, like flotsam and jetsam, or on the currents of the ocean. Buddhism explains destiny through the concept of karma. Karma originally meant action. Later, it came to be understood as the destiny one has created through their actions. Every thought, word, and deed is a cause which creates an effect. On a simple level, if we go to work, we will get paid. If we exercise, we will become fit. Buddhism therefore teaches that our fate is not arbitrary, neither is it imposed by supernatural forces. We create our own destiny. If you want to understand the causes and that exists in the past, look at the results that as they are manifested in the present. And if you want to understand what results will be manifested in the future, look at the causes that exist in the present. The workings of cause and effect may not be immediately obvious. Very often, life seems unfair. How is it that an unscrupulous and selfish businessman can become so rich? Why is it that the nice woman down the road has cancer? Why are people born in such different circumstances? Surely a child has had no chance to make the causes to be born into poverty and hunger. The concept of karma is based on the understanding that life is eternal. Circumstances of birth are therefore determined by the causes made in previous lifetimes. The law of cause and effect is exact. We may be able to escape detection from the laws of society, but there is no escaping the laws of causality, which is etched indelibly in lives. Although it is strict, it cannot be said to be unjust. It certainly gives a logical explanation for our differing circumstances of birth. Furthermore, it is an optimistic teaching because the power to create our destiny lies in our own hands. On its face value, the law of causality may sound moralistic, but it is much more complex than a straight moral code. Science, of course, recognizes cause and effect. However, science has discovered that the effects of a cause cannot be predetermined. The effect of a particular cause depends on the influence of many other factors. In a similar in a similar way, we cannot say that the nice woman down the road getting cancer is a result of her being a terrible person. It may be that she is very caring and helps others, but she also extremely worried, and in her case, this unease of mind and body has manifested itself as cancer. It is possible also to look at effects and labels that are as good or as bad. Some people who've discovered they have cancer develop a fighting spirit and a new appreciation of life. These people are truly creating their own destiny through their spirit to live now and for the future. This is the spirit of Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism. In the West, we may have received the impression that karma is a fatalistic and fixed. However, the reverse is true because we take full responsibility for our own actions and therefore our own results. We are empowered to seize our own destiny and change it for the better. So, the nine consciousnesses. Okay, and here's a short version of it. It says 1 to 5, the five senses: ears, ears, eyes, nose, mouth, and skin. Number 6, integration of senses, reason and logic. Number 7, abstract or spiritual thought, self awareness, and intuition. Number 8, storehouse of karma. Number 9, fundamental pure consciousness, Buddhahood. So, the 9 consciousnesses. Buddhism defines 9 layers of consciousness. This doctrine helps to explain how karma is stored and how it can be changed. The first 5 consciousness are the 5 senses of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. The 6th level is the thinking mind, which integrates the information we receive from these 5 senses. For instance, when you see a rose in a blossom and smell its fragrance, your 6th sense integrates with what you have seen and smelt to identify it as a rose. The 7th consciousness is when we form judgments about what actions to take. It corresponds to the thinking and aware self, which determines value. Let me read that again. It corresponds to the thinking and awareness and aware self, which discerns value. Shall I pick this rose, you think? No, better not. It's in someone else's garden. This 7th level is the area of motivation and intention, much of its subconscious. The 8th, alaya, consciousness, is the stone house of our karma. Alaya literally means accumulation, as in the name Himalaya mountains, which means accumulation of snow. All of our experiences are filtered through the initial 7 layers of consciousness and stored in the 8th, which exists as an unconscious memory of all our previous actions and reactions. This influences our reactions at any given time, based on our past experiences, including those of previous lifetimes. You may recognize repetitive patterns in your behavior. You may find, for instance, that someone at work always makes you angry. Much as you reflect and determine that next time it happens you will rise above it, you find that you are stuck in the same pattern of behavior. Or you may find that after having had an unhappy relationship, you get together with a new partner, but that soon the same problems start to occur in the new relationship. These kinds of behavioral patterns are all included in karma. These patterns or behaviors are also perpetrated in family groups. People whose karma is similar are drawn together in families. For example, research has shown that children who are abused are, in turn, more likely to abuse their own children. On the face of it, one would think that a person who has suffered abuse is the least likely person to abuse others. The doctrine of karma clarifies why it is that people behave in these repeat cycles. Psychology recognizes the existence of conditioned responses such as are stored in the 8th consciousness and seek to help people change these through understanding of self-awareness. Although it undoubtedly helps to understand our behavior with our rational minds, our most deeply ingrained karma cannot be changed in this way because the 8th consciousness lies deeper than the rational mind, the 7th consciousness. Our thoughts are therefore constantly influenced by our karma. In order to change karma fundamentally, we have to get beyond its influence in the realm of the 9th consciousness, which is pure and undefined, free of karmic impurities. Nichiren Daishonin defined the 9th consciousness as Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, the universal law of life. When we chant Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, we are expressing our Buddhahood. As we do this more and more, we become aware of those karmic tendencies which are restricting us. As our confidence grows, we feel able to challenge these tendencies and establish a new direction in our lives based on our ever-emerging Buddhahood. The Buddha discovered a mystic law which simultaneously contains cause and effect and designated it as Mon-Renge-Kyo. This single law of Mon-Renge is perfectly endowed with all the phenomena in the universe. Therefore, those who practice the law simultaneously acquire the cause and effect of Buddhahood. So cause and effect are simultaneous. Nichiren Daisoshin taught the negative karma can be overcome in this lifetime, overturning the traditional belief that this would take many lifetimes. He revealed the similarity of cause and effect as expressed in Renge or Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. Renge means lotus flower. The lotus flower produces flowers and seeds at the same time, indicating that the effect is simultaneous with the cause. Again, this can be difficult to understand because we see cases such as a rich man who got where he is by stepping on other people, seemingly escaping cause and effect. To this, Nichiren Daisoshin says, the reason I see it this way is that hell is in the heart of a man who inwardly despises his father and disregards his mother, just like the lotus seed, which contains both flower and fruit at the same time. In the same way, the Buddha dwells inside our hearts. True happiness depends on what is in our hearts, no matter what we may gain materially from manipulating others. If we are hating or disrespecting them, then at that moment we are suffering, as well as making the cause to suffer in the future. Buddhist theory explains that there are actually two effects, one of which is invisible and one which is visible. The visible effect, called the manifest effect, may take time to appear. However, the invisible or latent effect is felt immediately. So, in the case of the rich man who is misusing others, the manifest effect may take time to appear. He may, for instance, be born in a poor family in the next lifetime. However, the internal effect is immediate. Inside, he is suffering deeply. Just as there are two effects, there are two causes. One is internal and arises from our karma, the other is external. External causes are everyday events which each of us respond to differently, depending on our own particular internal cause stored in our karma. For example, an angry person will always tend to react hastily and irritably. However, if we base ourselves on the Buddha state, the ninth consciousness, our responses are not conditioned by our karma and we can break free of our habits and past conditioning. Jose Toda, the second president of Soka, said, we common mortals need a supreme law which will enable us to break through the shell of the more immediate cause and effects and open the Buddha nature innate within us. It is Nichiren Daisoshin who, responding to this need, established a law with which we, while leading our everyday lives, can demolish the destiny which has continued from our past existence and rebuild it for the better. Devoting oneself to the Gohonzin and chanting Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo is the way to change one's destiny for the better. All the causes and effect is between disappear, and the common mortal, since time without beginning emerges. The implication of the doctrine of karma is that we cannot blame anyone else for our suffering. Of course, this does not mean that others are not accountable. They will reap the rewards of their own actions. The important point is that our suffering comes from inside us, not outside. Again, this may seem strict, but in fact it is extremely liberating. After all, we cannot change other people, or rather, the only way we can change other people is to change the way we relate to them, by first of all changing ourselves. When we open our Buddha nature through chanting Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo, we react differently to others, based on wisdom and compassion rather than anger and greed. Because of this, people respond to us differently. When we practice Nichiren Daisoshin Buddhism, there are no stages to go through. We can experience Buddhahood immediately because of the similarities of cause and effect as expressed in Renge or Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo. Although, as explained above, it may take time for the external effect to appear. To overcome poverty or illness, for example, we can feel supreme joy immediately. This kind of joy is profoundly different to the satisfaction of physical desires. It is the joy of freedom. At the same time, we can also be sure that our physical and mental circumstances will improve. This does not mean that when we practice, we avoid the effects of karma. In fact, we find that those hidden things that cause us to suffer start to surface. This means we are changing them. They surface because we are tapping into the ninth consciousness underneath the storehouse of karma. The flaws have to come to the surface in order to be purified, as in the process of forging iron. This can be quite unsettling and sometimes very difficult. There is, however, no such thing as karma which cannot be overcome. At difficult times, when we are wrestling with the effects of our karma, it is important to remember that the causes we make in the past are not important. Rather, what we are doing now is creating the best possible causes for the future. Practicing Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism makes us much stronger and better able to deal with the difficulties. Furthermore, we feel both joy and gratitude because we are able to revolutionize our lives fundamentally. Karma is not a matter of oneself alone, as well as individual karma. We also share karma with our families. Likewise, we share it with our communities and society at large. There has been many attempts to improve society through various revolutions, the Industrial Revolution, the Class Revolution, and so on. However, unless we have a way to achieve a revolution in our own lives, we cannot hope to achieve lasting peace and a constructive society. Unless we can overcome our own anger, for instance, how can we hope to stop war? In overcoming our own karma, therefore, we start a chain reaction to change the karma of our families, communities, and the world. We, living things, have dealt in the sea of the sufferings of birth and death since time without beginning. But now that we have become votaries of Lotus Sutra, we will without fail attain the Buddha's entity, which is indestructible as a diamond, realizing that our bodies and minds that have existed since the beginningless past are inherently endowed with the eternity unchanging nature, and thus awaken us to mystic reality with our mystic wisdom. So I hope that made sense about cause and effect. Until next time, Nam-Myoho-Renge-Kyo.